You've been part of the intelligence community. You left the agency 2001, if I'm right.
That's right.
What do you think about the war on terror?
Well, it's an absolute failure. I mean, they're doing absolutely the wrong thing in many respects, not just in the data acquisition. Like we were talking earlier, it's bulk acquisition that makes it impossible to find things. There's just too much data to go through. So that's one way of failing. The other way is trying to make up for your failures by randomly droning people. That's another way.
Exactly. We have more than 2 million on the other side, and 5,000 people have died on terrorist attacks.
Yeah, that's right. And it's so what I call is random slaughter. Right? It's just not a smart thing to do. First of all, because in a war you want to make sure you hit your enemies and not collateral damage kind of things. But with civilians, you want to try to minimize that as best as possible. That they're not doing that, okay, and that's another mistake they're making. And then destabilizing countries is another way they're doing things. It's just they're doing all the wrong things.
I don't know who the guy was, but one man told us that the U.S. government doesn't want to win wars; they want to make terror, chaos.
Well, it's a case of the military-industrial complex having something to do, and so you need an enemy. And if you don't have one, you have to create one, like Russia. The Russians did it. Okay, so now we have a new enemy, so we can have a new Cold War. That means more trillions of dollars into weapons and things like that. And it's just a continuation of violence and around the world, and it's going to spread around the world like it did in the old Cold War. We went to Vietnam, we went to various places, for wars here and there.
What is your personal opinion about 9/11?
Well, I pretty much know it was done and planned in Hamburg by certain people. Atta was there, and a number of others were there. And then from there, it worked its way around. It got approval, and then they organized it in a straightforward way. I mean, it should have been picked up right away. But again, people weren't focused. They weren't focusing on the terrors that they knew.
But we have some data that there have been Saudis involved, also some Israelis intelligence people.
There is a question of whether or not they had people in the United States on the ground supporting them. Yeah, and that's not been followed up. There's never been a very good investigation of that particular event. They don't seem to care to. I guess they just wanted to follow it to the point where they could justify more purchases for the military-industrial complex, and they didn't want to get to the real bottom truth of it. So, there's a lot of the redaction that were going on involved the Saudis and with their relationships and things that were going on there that weren't exposed.
But this military-industrial complex is getting bigger and bigger since the Kennedy assassination, and it's like a deep state. Nobody knows what's going on inside.
Well, it's actually President Eisenhower warned us about this in excuse me, in his farewell speech in 1961, January 61, when he was leaving office. And he experienced that complex from World War II while he was president, and so he knew that things were going on there, and we needed to watch that. Well, that's what we had a Congress for. They're supposed to do oversight of all this, and they're not doing their job. We have the courts; they're supposed to do oversight of it, and they're not doing their job. So we have virtually no effective oversight whatsoever.
It looks like that all those agencies, call it NSA, CIA, FBI, they're working against, not together.
Actually, they're working against the existing government. It's like a secret government behind the government. Yeah, right. But and I call them. I'm referring to them now as the Praetorian Guard. They determine who the emperor is and what he does. Okay, so it doesn't matter who's president. You're going to do what the CIA, FBI, and NSA do.
I'm sure you know the case of Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer.
No, I'm not too familiar.
Able Danger.
Oh, I know Able Danger. Yeah.
Because
Schaefer. Oh, Schaefer. Okay.
Yeah, because he had all those guys on focus, and nobody believed him. And 1 year later, we had those accidents in New York and Washington. Another case is that Atta and all those guys have been supported at U.S. military bases.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember that in the Afghan war, when Russia was in Afghanistan, we supported Al Qaeda against the Russians. Again, that was not very smart. You know.
There's one whistleblower, his name is Michael Springman. He was working in Jeddah. He put out the visas for all those guys,
Yeah.
and he said, "No, you're not." And then the CIA came forward and say, "No, no, no, these are our people."
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was the people they were supporting. We were supporting the wrong people then. I don't think we should support wars anywhere. Period. That's my point.
So your situation, you left the agency. What was your motivation?
Well, they were violating the Constitution. I mean, when I found out about that, I mean, I knew it had to come from the White House. It wasn't something that an agency head would do without approval from above. So the only place it could come from was the White House. That was Bush and Cheney, and that's where it came from. So, to me, it was a direct, they should have been impeached. And the others, tried for, I call it treason against the founding principle of the country.
Did you get pressure?
They sent the FBI after me. So, yeah, they tried to indict us, not only me, but several other whistleblowers from NSA. They tried to indict us 3 separate times, but in each case I'd found evidence of exculpatory evidence and also evidence of malicious prosecution on the part of the Department of Justice of the United States. So, and I threatened them with that I would charge them with it if they ever tried to take us to court. And when they did, they threatened it. Our lawyer said they were going to indict us. I said, well, now here's what I'm going to do to them, and let's get ready to go to court. And I told all the lawyers that were involved, where I made sure that people knew that they could tell their lawyers this. Then after that, 1 month later, I got unsolicited letters of immunity from the Department of Justice. It's like you're going to be indicted, and our lawyers were told that. Then automatically getting letters of immunity, is kind of that's only because I threatened them.
What do you think about Edward Snowden?
Well, I was asked that question in August of 2013, shortly after his material started coming out. I was on USA Today television in the U.S., and they asked me what I thought should happen to Edward Snowden. And I said, well, I thought he should be indicted for stealing government property. Right? I said, but I thought the government all the laws should be applied equally, and it should be done in chronological sequence of the crimes. So first we have to indict Bush, Cheney, Hayden, Tenet, all the members of the intelligence committees, all the members of the FISA court, all the leadership in the Department of Justice, the FBI, NSA, and CIA who are part of this in the Bush administration. Then we have to do the same people in the Obama administration, and then we'll do Snowden. And nobody asked me that question again.
Because many people think Edward Snowden is a kind of double agent.
That's just somebody trying to change the narrative, to shift the narrative away from what he exposed. That's what they always do. I mean, they're shifting the narrative from all the crimes that they were committing to the Russians. The Russians did it now, and it's clearly from the forensics of it all. It's clear that the Russians didn't do anything, right? That it was a local leak. And we published that as part of the VIPS, the Veteran Intelligence Professional for Sanity. We published that data, and we're waiting for response from any of the intelligence agencies.
The NSA is also part of the economic war. The Volkswagen case was also brought forward by the NSA.
Yeah, well, when you collect everything, you have the ability to do industrial espionage on every company in the world. So I mean, that's the problem with bulk collection of data. You have power over everybody, and you can use it any way you want.
What are your plans for the future? You want to write a book? Or?
No, I'm not writing a book. I'm going to do. I'm working with companies here in Europe, so we can do a targeted professional disciplined approach to stop crime of any kind, and also discover information in big data. And so we're going to do that here in Europe because the U.S. doesn't want any part of that.
Is there any chance to stop this program?
Yes, I think there is. Okay, through the lawsuits and through actually, a lot of people don't believe this, but or maybe they don't understand it. But President Trump is probably our best opportunity to stop it, because they're using these programs against him, exposing conversations he has with other presidents, exposing people who work for him for throwing all kinds of information out about them. And even at one point in the public, he said he stated quite clearly to all of us in the country. He said, "What the hell's going on here?" Well, we've been trying to tell him that that NSA is collecting all the data with GCHQ, the other Five Eyes, and like 6 to 8 other countries in Europe are collecting all this data. They're all NSA is the repository for it all. All of them query it with XKeyscore or IC Reach, other kinds of programs that get into the data. And you know that he's copied his collection. That's why I said his entire campaign was all the data about them were collected.
My last question is: I think you know Stratfor and George Friedman.
I'm not sure.
He's the head of Stratfor. It's a kind of an intelligence think tank. And at the Chicago Council on Security Affairs, he told the people that the biggest enemy of the United States is that Germany and the Russians get closer together. The US wants to, to destroy that.
The biggest enemy of the United States and the people of the United States is the United States government and what they're doing. I mean, they need to wise up and start abiding by the Constitution and the rights of people. If they do that, that's not that any relationship in the world is not an issue, because then we as the United States will revert to what we stand for, which is the rights of humanity.
But then we have to make a cleanup from inside, because otherwise it's not possible.
Yeah, that's right. We in the United States have to fix this. I mean, we started this. We've got to fix it. So.
Okay, I say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, we spoke about Eisenhower and his farewell speech, where he talked about the military-industrial complex. You told me also that you think Mohammed Atta was the head behind 9/11, but Atta was educated by the US Army. So are you 100% sure that some part, I speak about a small part, inside the deep state is responsible for the attacks?
I'm quite sure they weren't. They were responsible in the sense of negligence and incompetence, but not directly acting.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Because we knew the entire Al-Qaeda network before 9/11, in fact, going back to 1996, the entire worldwide network.
But we had Operation Northwoods. You know these plans. They came out in 1998, and exactly that happens 2 years later.
Well, yes, in fact, we knew that was part of their policy to do that kind of thing. But again, if you're incompetent and don't follow things and don't focus, you don't see them. That's the fundamental problem with intelligence.
Back to the fight.